All right. First things first. Let's talk about pubic hair. It looks like pubic hair is making a comeback officially. For years now, people have been very busy trimming the hedge, as it were, but now it looks like full grown is coming back on vogue. And here's the thing that frustrates me about this is, don't tell me what to do with my junk. That's my junk. If I want to let it be all froey and have sideburns, I'll let it be all froey. I'll let it have sideburns. If I want to trim it down, I'll trim it down. If I want to cut the grass, I will cut the grass. If I want hardwood down there, I'll have hardwood. Here's the weird thing. I was saying the other day, like, you know what? I'm a big fan of the hardwood. I'm a big fan of hardwood. Carpet went out with the 90s. But I got in trouble saying I have no right to talk about whether a lady should have hardwood floors or a full shag carpet down there. I'm just saying a preference, okay? And it's the same thing, because I know that my wife also prefers hardwood, so you can make damn sure it's looking like hardwood, and at the very least, laminate. It never looks like parquet flooring, okay? It's always clean, organized, and symmetrical. Do what you want to do, but show respect to your partners as well, because occasionally on your birthday, they spend a significant amount of time down there. It's all about respect, people. Moving on. Oh, did I skip a thing? Oh, no, I didn't skip a thing. I was going to talk about how the federal conservative party, like the progressive conservative party, is having difficulty getting interest from millennial voters. Duh! Of course they're having a tough time getting interest from millennial voters. The reason for that being, right there, Kelly Leach, she's like the front runner. She's the one that we all know about. Why? Because she says horribly reactionary, idiotic things all the time. She's the one who's basically trying to take the Trump methodology and turn it into Canadian politics. And if the Progressive Conservative Party wants to be taken seriously, they got to just move on with the times. One of the things that she was very big on saying was that if the federal... Why do I keep saying the federals? Because they're federal conservatives. They're the federal Progressive Conservative Party. If they got into power, the first thing that she would do would be to go back on all this marijuana legalization. You know how absolutely idiotic of a move that would be? I always thought that the Progressive Conservatives were all about, making money. That, right there, that is green crude is what it is. It is going to inject a minimum of $24 billion into the Canadian economy in the first year alone. That's $24 billion that we can use to put into schools, that we can put into roads. Potholes, fix them. Highways, fix them. And also healthcare. People really enjoy going to the doctor. Another big thing that people are starting to get a lot more concerned about, for good reason, the environment. Look at how pretty that is. That's something that the Progressive Conservatives really need to address. They want, and listen, if you're a Progressive Conservative voter, that's great. I love that that's your party. You can do whatever you want to do. But they have addressed the problem that they're not getting enough young voters. And those are two things that are very big in the mindsets of young people right now. They want to get stoned and go walk in nature, and they don't want to get thrown in jail for it. So there you go. By the way, I just want to make a good point about the other two gentlemen in this picture. That's Aaron O'Toole. He's a very nice guy. Used to take the GO train with him all the time. So there you go. He's a conservative politician that took transit like every day. I know because I sat next to him. Very nice dude. And also Christopher Alexander, who used to be my MP. And during school orientation for my kids, he laughed at all my jokes that I was making about a dude who had a ponytail that was a douche. Like, he was like your stereotypical, like, you can have a ponytail if you're a dude, but don't have a ponytail and say dumb things all the time, is basically what I'm saying. So this guy had a ponytail and was like, oh, excuse me, my wife is a teacher, and I have a question. It's like, listen, if you've got a question about an elementary school, and your wife is a teacher at an elementary school, don't waste our time. Just ask your wife. I don't want to sit in this stupid school orientation thing for my kid in the gym that smells like feet. I want to go home, and I want to have a beer and sit on my couch. Ponytail dad. Oh, and the worst is, okay, you know how, like, you tuck your shirt in when you're wearing a dress shirt, but if you're not wearing, like, a sports jacket, you don't always tuck your shirt in? He had, like, the puffy tuck. You know where you tuck it in, you puff it up? The puffy tuck. Like, ugh. Just the absolute worst. Anyways, people want to buy homes, okay? And I was reading about home ownership and the obsession with home ownership is actually pretty much destroying anybody's chance of ever getting a house. And they're currently working on, I think, like 150,000 new units for people to live in, and the majority of them should always be rental units. Do you want to know why people are obsessed with ownership? Because they don't have to worry about rent anymore. Right now in Parkdale, there's a whole apartment building, and all the people that live in that apartment building have gone on strike because the landlord's not listening to them, allegedly. I want to say that, throw that word in. Legally, allegedly, the landlord is not listening to them and is not fixing the problems that they're pointing out. Actually, it's right there on the news. Don't show that. That's another media company that's on the news right now. But 200 tenants that are living in this one building in Parkdale are on the verge of getting evicted and won't have a place to live. The reason people are so obsessed with buying their own home, because that way they don't have to worry about the rent going up randomly whenever they want, and they also don't have to worry about a landlord that won't do anything, because when you own the house, you are your own landlord. So you can fix the problems that you're having, and you never have to worry about things suddenly flying through the roof because you're paying a mortgage and you locked in your mortgage rate. That's very important. Because everybody wants to have that classic feeling where they're sitting in their backyard and they're laying in a hammock and they don't have to worry about, I wonder if randomly when my lease is up for renewal, my rent is going to go up by 50%. And until the city and the province step in and make sure that people don't have to worry about problems like that, everybody is going to be continued to be obsessed with home ownership. But I should also remind you that real estate prices are forever and ever and ever going up. They're not going to just stop and suddenly shrink down. They're always going to go up. The reason for that is, and this is the plot line for I think like half the Superman movies, we're not getting new land. The land is owned, the demand is going up, but the supply is staying the same, so the price is always going to go up. Is that basic? Am I making sense of that? Does that make sense? Madison, she's working the camera, and she just made a sad face because she's only like 21. You're 21? 22. She's 22, and by the time she is in a position for home ownership, prices could possibly be $3 million for a house. You can always come stay in my garage, Madison. You're a very nice person, and you look very clean. Like, you look like you probably have a clean apartment, and you also look like you shower every day. Okay, by the way, this is my new favorite headline. White supremacist converts to Islam, then kills neo-Nazi pals for disrespecting his new faith. Is that not the most ridiculous headline that you've ever read? Now, the reason for this, the reason that I like this headline so much is that it involves bad things happening to two segments of society that I can't stand. Number one, Nazis. Don't feel bad when bad things happen to Nazis. Like, not at all. That's totally okay. Also, and people that use a religion like Islam and convert it into something that's violent for their own socio-political beliefs, thereby painting a bad brush across everybody who practices Islam. And it makes me very upset when I hear about those things. I've got a lot of Muslim friends that I grew up with that are all very peaceful people, and they're always talking about Islam being a religion of peace. And whenever anything like this happens, they're always put on the defensive for a long time. So when I hear about this guy killing his two Nazi friends and then going to jail for it and blaming being a Muslim for it, it makes me happy. It's like all the loose ends have gotten wrapped up in one beautiful, beautiful story that coincidentally happens in Florida. Here we go. Who made these movies? Sam Mendes made these movies. He is a fantastic movie director. I have to say that the soundtrack to Jarhead is just spot on. Spot on. It's Kanye West before he became crazy Kanye West. But it looks like Sam Mendes is going to be making a live-action version of Pinocchio. You know what I love about Pinocchio? Pinocchio is a fantastic story that is very humanizing and very true to the human condition because it talks about the importance of not being a jackass. If you've actually watched all of Pinocchio, we all know the concept of the story is that Pinocchio wants to be a real boy, and how does he do it? And they end up getting eaten by a whale, and him and Geppetto go in the whale, and then they get shot up, and yada, yada, yada. Anyways, the real moral of the story is that you act like a jackass, you're not ever going to be a real human being. And that's a lesson that I don't think we ever tell kids these days. We coddle them and treat them too well. Sometimes people are just jackasses, and bad things happen to them, and that's okay. Because they're jackasses, or they're white supremacists that convert to Islam and then murder their Nazi friends. Am I making sense? Is this good? We're on the right page? Good, good, good. So Sam Mendes is going to take over, and he's going to be directing a live-action adaptation of Pinocchio, which is a very dark story. In the original version of the story, Pinocchio ends up getting lynched, like stabbed and burned alive. So the Disney version is probably not going to be that dark. I have no idea who's going to be cast as the Blue Fairy, but I look forward to... Oh, sorry, I completely forgot what it was that I was going to say. But let's all gaze upon the Blue Fairy. And once again, if somebody who works for Chorus Internet Services could ensure that the internet works more good in this room, that'd be super.